Okay, we're now streaming. So hi, everybody who's out there watching. And I'm going to push record and we'll take it away.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right, call this meeting to order, 5:35. I'm going to be taking minutes as well, so bear with me. And as I kind of get everything put in place for this, we have no visitors, so we will move on to the consent agenda. So the consent agenda has this meeting's agenda, the minutes from the July 27th and September 28th meetings. So I finally got those July 27th notes typed up, and then the bills that were submitted on the two dates listed there, 9/23 and 10/7. So I'm assuming you guys had a chance to look through those minutes. Amanda also sent some corrections ahead of time just to make sure that I got it all correct. And if no one would like to pull something for conversation, I would entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I would move that we accept the consent agenda as written. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a movement by McPherson. Is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
Okay, second from Books. And then we will go through the, and I've got to flip between different apps here now on this computer to do this, to get you guys all ready here. So then we'll go through and do it by roll call. So, Mr. Mills, your vote.
Aye.
Chris, your vote.
Aye.
John, your vote.
Yes.
And I am an aye as well, so that carries unanimously. Okay, cool. And so Library Friends Liaison Report. Chris, do you have
Yes.
anything for us?
I have a short
Okay.
report. They are sending out the letters of invitation and the application forms. They may have gone out already. It's supposed to have happened this week. And the deadline for returning the forms is the 30th of November. And each entity has a limit of $1,000 this year. So it won't be a big grant, but there will be grants. So we're looking forward to having people respond, including the public library director.
Okay. So it's a limit of $1,000 per entity.
That is correct.
Okay, cool. Per entity requesting. And that's by invitation only, right?
Yes, but it's
Okay.
also, there are only 5 entities that qualify, the
Okay.
4 schools and the public library.
Great. Well, that's exciting. It's good to see even a little bit
There
going
is,
out.
yep, there is some money and people are active, so it's good. And we hope to keep, going from there, but we'll see what happens.
Cool. All
And
right.
they'll be announced, Jay, let me finish off the awards will be announced in January.
Okay, sounds good. Awards will be presented in January 2021. Sounds very good.
Yes.
Anything else?
No, that's it. Thanks.
All right. And then Helen's not here, so I don't know if we have much for an ALS board report unless Amanda, she passed any information on to you to pass on to us.
Not today.
Okay. So I'll just write down none for that. And then we'll get to the director's report. So, Amanda, you ready? Take it away.
Last month, we had a pretty big discussion about ventilation in the building. So we had an inspector come through. Our unit type is doing everything that is expected of this type that it can. And I've also purchased a fleet of air purifiers to put into the library too, to help. Portable HEPA filters are one of the recommendations for indoor, but also that's number 6 of the recommendations. Number 7 is to reduce blowing air. So it's kind of it's really tricky on that one. I understand that in particular, you don't want air moving sideways from one person to the next person. So I have some different ideas. Once I get them in here, once I have the units and can understand how they're impacting airflow, then I could make some different decisions about how to use them. For example, I'm thinking about, I think they're most effective if you have them in here while people are here. But if I use them at night while air is settling, I could even put them on a Christmas timer. So, for Christmas lights. So they'll come on maybe after everyone's out of the building and turn off before we come in or something. But it's going to be a learning curve. That's part of where we put our COVID-19 money, or our CARES money was into that. I also have a few plexiglass partitions coming. Again, to just try to help with proximity and social distancing, because we have so many different things that we do in the library from extended use, like sitting at a computer for a while, or browsing the collection. And I really don't know what to expect once we start letting people into the building more. Other things that we're doing, little simple things. This is a little pen. And so I have 3 different colors coming: create, explore, and connect. And from our tagline. And so the idea here is I can't sanitize everything that the public touches, but I could reduce how many things they touch by giving away pens when they need one. So they could just take the pen, it has our tagline, it has our name on it. It was kind of exciting to do that with some crossover dollars. I also invested in a fleet of pagers. Some of the restaurants are doing this now, where you order the food and they give you a pager so you can wait in your car where it's warm. So presumably, if we moved into a stage where we were letting people browse the library by appointment, or they could use the computer, but I need them to wait another 15 minutes, I could give them a pager, they could wait in their car. So that's where we're at with all of that. We did do some computers by appointment. I have not announced it to the public. I've put it on our website, I've put it in our window. We talk to anyone who asks questions about computers by appointment, but I haven't actually started talking about it on the radio and things like that. It's going well. I'm glad we did a soft launch so that everyone could get used to all the extra cleaning. We have to be prepared for people to use the bathrooms. The porta potties that have been placed throughout town go away at the end of the month. Mm-hmm. So we have to have a plan in place for people to use our restroom, even though we can also encourage them to try to go at home before they come. Those are the highlights that I wanted to share, I think, about where we are with reopening. Did you have any specific questions you were hoping I would cover?
Are there HEPA filters in the larger system?
The HVAC unit has been upgraded to HEPA filters.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Chris, I saw that you were talking. Did you want to unmute and give it a try?
Tim's working upstairs, so I didn't want the construction noise to go down. I just wanted to say it sounds really good, and you've been very creative and thinking about different things like giving away the pens and so on. Let's go. You're doing great.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems to me like the really cautious approach. There's a lot of things we're figuring out. The soft launch, as you called it. That's good. We won't get ourselves in over our heads then. So So I think that's probably the way to keep proceeding. I know that it was pretty slow. Only 10 people this past week for computers inside the building, but I think that making those services available as they become more readily available. I think the little like restaurant buzzers, that's brilliant. Like that's really smart. It'd be really interesting to see if those things walk off, like if they disappear, but maybe they won't. I don't know.
Definitely have been erring on trusting and having faith in our community during this whole thing. In September, I think it was, I did some of the outdoor office tools. And we had those portable chargers for any device type that people could come and charge a laptop outside on the benches, and our TV trays and things. And yeah, I'm erring towards trust right now, and I think that's the right approach.
Yeah, I would agree. Do you have anything else for the director's report? I'm basically, go ahead.
The board had asked if I was receiving any feedback from the community to share that. So I have two sides of the coin for you this evening. I did have someone who spoke with another of my employees and really wanted to know the exact date that we would be open, in particular because families need places to go in the winter time. And the ideal outcome for this customer would be that we have story times that families can come to in groups and interact with Erica and listen to story time. I also had another something here that I'd like to share. And this is the flip side, which is, dear staff members of the library, thank you so much for your top-notch service this summer under difficult circumstances. Everyone is so courteous, kind, helpful, punctual, and patient. I ordered quite a few books and they all came and were read. I am inclined, the direction I'm giving my staff as they're working with our customers is we are going to be looking at offering basic library service before we are opening up to programming. Programming is a long time down the road.
Yeah.
So I would sooner see people in this building browsing the collection than I would opening to programs right now. So that's kind of where we're headed. We're going to keep building on the computers by appointment, and then also the browsing would be ideal for me in the next stage. And we're watching those numbers because they're jumping.
Good.
Thank you, Amanda. I think that's really wise. And just kind of back to the pagers and trust and stuff. I think those are really excellent tools. And you know, everyone cares about money in our pocketbooks, but more so we care about our health. And so I think it's a really good, way to keep our health, and maybe they will walk off, but I think it's just a really good tool to keep our health, and that might be the price we have to pay. But it seems like a small price if that does happen, and I think it'll work out fine. And I really appreciate your approach to taking things in phases and watching the numbers. And one thing I just wanted to share with the group is, if I'm assuming everyone's aware, but I'm just saying this to everyone I talk to now, is we're kind of in a new phase with COVID, and as it's now in community spread, it's within our community. It's not just coming from someone who went and visited Duluth. It's here, and so at least my family is going to start kind of reassessing our practices and try to be more careful again. We've been a little easier going when we could have all of our windows open and kind of visit with friends outside more and that sort of thing. But yeah, as the winter months hit us and families are looking for places, it's going to be harder. But I'm hoping we can kind of keep our guard up. So thank you for looking at that very pragmatic approach. Over.
And on that front, I have had some parents of very small children that have reached out to me and have asked questions about if the library will be able for play dates, available for play dates and things like that during the course of the winter. And my reaction to it was kind of like, I don't think that's really what the space is going to be used for. I mean, it doesn't really seem like that's super conducive to to the way that we've been working on reopening the building. It seems to kind of fly in the face of that cautious sort of minimalistic reopening. So I don't know. I mean, it's definitely a service that's been widely used by people in the community, but it's also one that, the library, I don't know if it's not equipped to really provide that safely in this environment. So something to think about, Amanda, but I don't think that, you know, I don't know how that would work. Personally, I don't know how it would work. So,
Yeah.
And I would think we have to be very cautious. Dave's right that there's more community spread now. I was in to see my physician today and he looked very worried. He wasn't a happy man. His remark was that what we've been doing so far is just practice. Now the game begins. This is for real. So I think it would be foolish for the library to entertain that sort of service right now in the midst of this.
correct. I agree with you, John. And it's really interesting to hear you say that what we've been doing up to this point is practice, and now this is, you know, this is now where the game begins. And I think that's really going to be, it's going to be telling when we look at our practices and how they work and how they don't work. I think that we've been cautious enough that we aren't going to have to dial any of them back, which is really that's the gauge that I'm going from this. I want to go slow enough so that when we reintroduce services at a level that we can sustain at the library, that we don't have to get to a point of dialing it back because we didn't think it through right. So,
Yep.
So that's my take on it.
Uh-huh.
I think we're doing okay with that. So that's all for the director's report, Amanda? Do you have anything else to discuss under there's a little hash underneath that for reopening, or is that just part of the director's report that we've already covered?
Yep, that's what we've been doing.
That's kind of what I figured, but just wanted to make sure I wasn't cutting off any additional content that you may have
Thank you, Jay.
prepared. Thought it was really interesting too to see the drops in the circulation numbers for the different libraries, and it'll be interesting to see what the year-end numbers are for us. But at this point, we can't feel bad about it. Can't feel bad about it. Can't feel good about it, really.
Well,
All right, so we're going to move on. Committee reports. So the financial committee pretty much has finished their work for the year. There might be an opportunity to meet near the end of the year to just kind of look at where the budget is performing for 2020, but I don't know, maybe not. Policy committee, we haven't identified any policies that need to be gone through. So again, that's no report there. Personnel committee does need to still get together. I apologize for dropping the
do.
ball on that one. And because we need to do some evaluations before the end of the year. So that's something that I'm going to put that in my notes right now so that I can remember to come up and get that. So if I don't put it into my notes like right when I talk about it, then it's gone.
Yep.
And yeah. So I'll put down for personnel committee, I'll put down need to schedule a meeting to discuss staff evaluation. Well, I should just say
and this would be,
director.
yes, by the director. This would be important to do before Helen goes off the board too.
Yes.
So
Mhm. Yep.
that puts a little pressure on.
Any other comments on those committees? I have committee reports. There's no committee. I don't have any committee reports for them. So, okay, seeing none, then we'll move on to the to communications. For communications, we really only had the one statement from the Minnesota St. Paul Foundation. The fund is doing well. We actually made some money, which is nice. So that's that. Anybody else have any questions about that? Okay. Just making my notes here. All right, so now we'll move on to unfinished business. So for unfinished business, we didn't really have anything. So we'll move on to new business. Do we have anything for new business? I mean, we didn't identify anything. So this is, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I don't know if this qualifies as new business or not, but I know that we have board seats open. So
Yeah.
I don't, I was just wondering how they are advertised. Do they just go up on the city and the county website? Or should I be writing to people in the book club on the Gunflint Trail saying, are you interested in being on the board? I wasn't quite sure what was the appropriate.
Yes, please. Yeah,
I think
just
all those things
Okay.
are appropriate.
yeah.
The city will be advertising in the paper for the openings on the library board, and we'll start talking about it at council meetings, and I'll start asking around and seeing what people do. But the participation on the library board has always been one of the more robust levels of participation in different city boards. But I think that now with the whole COVID thing, people are just really pulling back. So,
Yep.
So that's that.
Okay, well, I'll see what I can send out a note certainly to the people who go to the book club. I'm not going right now, but people, the list is still active and some people do gather, so.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other final comments or any other business? I mean, this is pretty typical. We've gotten a lot of our budget work done, and now, especially with the library being closed and there not being a lot of programming, and we got the construction done. So the building is pretty much set the way we want it for right now. So there's not a lot of business to talk about, which is actually not bad. So
Other than supporting Amanda in all the new kinds of work she's having to do. Thank you.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of the ways we can do that is just kind of get out of her way and let her do it. But you know, because
doing a
she's
great
on the
job.
ground, she knows what's going on. So
Exactly.
yeah. So do you guys have any other comments? Any other anything else to add for the rest of the meeting?
Oh, Amanda, are you feeling? I'm assuming you're feeling confident in your approach with just kind of the phased and watching the numbers. Are you still feeling pushback, or are you feeling support, or where are you at?
All of the above. You know, I feel like the decisions that I have made, I can live with. If COVID came through my community tomorrow and took half of it away, I could live with the decisions that I've made today so far. That doesn't make it easier. You know, I definitely still, I am hearing the community's need for a community space. I'm trying to figure out as much as I can of what I can offer. I always want to do more than I can do. I'm frustrated by how long and everything takes and how hard it is to figure everything out because it's so connected. One piece is so connected to absolutely everything else. Being a part of a consortium group is one example of that because there are things in Horizon that can be managed by each library, but many things are managed globally, and which means that either all libraries are on board with the change or we're not. So for example, I lose control over things like if we all turn notices back on, that might not be the best community. And so then it creates customer service traffic because people don't understand why they've returned books that are now in quarantine, but they're getting overdue notices. So that's what I mean by so many things are connected together. So I just feel a lot of frustration. I wish the answers were clearer, but I also think that the choices I'm making, I can live with.
Well, from my perspective, I feel like you're doing an excellent job, and I really appreciate the work that you're doing and the thought that you're putting into it, and the flexibility that you're demonstrating to it. It may not seem like it to the people who are demanding more, but I feel like you are looking at the options and strategically and wisely choosing them. So thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Anything else? Closing comments? Snide remarks?
No.
Oh, I was going to cut you off, Dave, because I figured you had one. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming tonight. Amanda, keep us in the loop about what's happening, any updates that you feel are important for the board to know about. Invite people, make sure we can fill out this board for next year. And I hope you guys all have a safe and nice night.
Good night, everyone.